Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Dawes County Board of Commissioners voting session. Today is Thursday, February the 5th, 2026. Appreciate everyone who's here in attendance as well as those that are with us online. We'll start out with a roll call. Let the record show that all the commissioners are present except for Commissioner Turkett. We do have an opening presentation this afternoon, proclamation recognizing the Lunar New Year, which I will read to you. Whereas February 17th, 2026 marks the beginning of the Lunar New Year, which is celebrated in Asian American communities across the United States and especially Georgia. And whereas Georgia is home to approximately 495,000 Americans of Asian and Pacific Islander descent, and whereas the Asian and Pacific Islander American community has contributed to the social, cultural, civic, economic, and academic success of the state, and whereas the Lunar New Year is predominantly celebrated by Asian and Pacific Islander American communities from China, Korea, Vietnam, Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines, Indonesia, and Taiwan, and whereas this Lunar New Year is the year of the horse and is universally celebrated by these communities as a time to renew family ties and to start the new year with a clean slate, and whereas the celebration of the Lunar New Year in communities throughout Georgia illustrates the state's rich cultural history and commitment to racial, religious, and cultural diversity. And whereas Dawson County follows the state of Georgia in welcoming the Lunar New Year and extends best wishes for a peaceful and prosperous Lunar New Year to all Georgians. And now, therefore, the Dawson County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims February 17th, 2026 as the beginning of the Lunar New Year, the year of the horse, on this 5th day of February 2026. You have heard the proclamation. What is the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion we approve the proclamation as read in the record.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines, seconded by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 3-0, and I do believe you wanted a photo. Okay, go.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we exit executive session.
Yes, sir. So the motion is seconded to come out of executive session by Commissioner Stowers, seconded by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 3-0. All right, I ask everybody to please stand for a brief invocation and pledge. Would bow your heads, please. Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and for the many blessings of life. We ask that you give us knowledge and wisdom to carry out the business of this county. Anything we accomplish, we'll give you the honor and glory. In Christ's name, we do ask and pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Are there any announcements on the board? Any announcements on the board? Hearing none, I'll move on to the approval of the minutes. First up, we have the minutes of special call joint meeting held on January 15, 2026. Any additions or deletions? Motions.
Motion to approve is presented.
Motion by Commissioner Stowers, seconded by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 3-0. Next up, we have the minutes of the work session held on January 15, 2026. Any additions or deletions? Motions.
Motion to approve as is.
Motion by Commissioner Bruce,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Stowers. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 3-0. Next up, we have the minutes of the voting session held on January 15, 2026. Any additions or deletions? Motions.
Motion to approve as is.
Motion by Commissioner Bruce,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Stowers. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. Froze. And that is approved 3-0. We move on to the approval of the agenda. I do have two changes to the agenda. The items number 7 and 8 under new business, the FY 2026 Violence Against Women's Act grant application, and then a request to accept a FY 2026 K-9 grant. I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda with those two changes.
Make a motion to approve the agenda with the amendments.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stowers, seconded by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved. We do have two people signed up for public comment in the next section. Sheriff Johnson and Mr. Holmans. Which one's going to go first? You'll have 3 minutes.
Chairman and Commissioners, I am here this evening with the sheriff to address the items on your SPLOST resolution. And Kristen, I appreciate you putting this up. These two items that we're here to address involve the vehicles at the amount of $5 million and the refurbishment, et cetera, at the detention center for $1,730,000. As you know, the sheriff expressed his displeasure at one of your earlier meetings. The sheriff expressed that displeasure because he was excluded from the process that includes these projects as well as other projects. And he sent over on October the 23rd, 2025, his summary. And his summary said, I need $5.7 million for my vehicles and $830,000 for the detention center. He was not notified until January the 2nd of 2026 that amount for vehicles had been reduced from $5.7 million to $4 million, a 30% reduction. He wasn't included. That would merit a phone call to the elected sheriff of the county at a minimum. But we know, and from looking at the response to an open records request, there were numerous discussions about this request, but he wasn't included. In fact, in one of the documents that we reviewed, it said, well, in SPLOST 7, your current SPLOST, he had $3 million for vehicles. Well, that's just not the case. You've got, if you want to look for it, the summary list from that SPLOST. And that SPLOST says it was $1.5 million. People make mistakes, but when you're negotiating what he's put in, he says these are the things we need, then at a minimum, he ought to be included in those discussions. We see where the city was involved. In fact, we appreciate the commissioners sending over to the city, well, out of your portion, you need to fund part of the sheriff's request for vehicles. He wasn't included in those discussions. Now that you've reached an agreement with the city, we have gone to the city this week. We've said out of the amount you were allocated for public safety, we request some amount for the sheriff's vehicles and equipment. We believe they're going to provide at least $150,000 of the amount that's been allocated to the sheriff's office for that purpose. But the various meetings resulted after the sheriff learned that he had been cut from 5.7 to 4 after the meetings, and he appreciates that. The Commissioner Gaines, Commissioner Bruce, y'all meeting with him, and then it was changed and increased to 5 million, not to 5.7. I asked for additional time, please.
That's up to the board. If they're
Yes, sir.
willing to give any additional time.
I'm good to hear him out.
How much time do you want?
Another 3 minutes.
Okay. Is that good? All right, go ahead.
Thank you. But it still wasn't the 5.7. And Mr. Chairman, we heard you. We heard you loud and clear that there had to be cuts to many of the requests that departments issued. We recognize that. But the amount that was requested for the detention center and what the sheriff submitted back on October the 23rd of 2025 was $830,000. If you'll see on the screen here, that amount is now $1,730,000. So that was increased. But oddly enough, the sheriff still hasn't been consulted or discussed with him as to why that number changed. But the saving grace is that that's still within the public safety sheriff's office improvement, so that gives us a potential resolution to the circumstances that causes the sheriff to be so concerned with this resolution. What also we noticed, the CAD system became an issue. And we understand, CAD system is very important. Part of that system we sent to the commissioners back in September 7, 2017. Also September 20, 2017, and January 18, 2018. That was for the hardware for this same CAD system. We understand this is software, but we said then, this is a SPLOST item. Ought not be taken out of the sheriff's general fund and put in a restricted fund. Make it a SPLOST item. At that time, we were told that's not the way we do things. We're going to set aside a certain amount per year from your budget, Sheriff, until we can afford this. The sheriff did plan. The sheriff's office has always planned for this CAD system, including this software system. We appreciate it being put in SPLOST, but to read comments that the sheriff's office failed to plan is simply not true. The sheriff's office has planned for this CAD system since 2017, and to make that kind of comment, he finds offensive. With what we've been able to address through the city, we're here tonight to ask that the number 5 million for the vehicles and equipment be changed to 5.5 million, expecting that we can negotiate and discuss with the city to obtain 150,000. And then we would also reduce the amount for the detention center from $1,730,000 to $1,580,000, which is still more than the sheriff put in his initial request. We don't believe that would have impacted in any way your IGA with the city, as it's still within the county's allocation and the sheriff's department allocation. I appreciate you allowing me to speak here this evening. Thank you.
Sheriff, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Board. I'll just kind of echo what Mr. Holman said. We're just asking the board to move this money over for our cars because we know what position we're going to be in 7 years if we don't do that now. I also want to clear up some miscommunications that maybe the board got that they're just false information. As you know that you got an open records request, we obtained a lot of emails. Here's one dated from January 6th, Tuesday. This was from Mr. Leverett to Mr. Thurman. I'll just read it to you. Also, just as a sidebar, the SO had $3 million for patrol vehicles in SPLOST 7, not including the SWAT tank as well. That's wrong. We had $1.5 million, $1.5 million in SPLOST 7 for vehicles. So if you were operating off information that we had 3 from your county manager, that's just incorrect. SPLOST 8 currently has 4 million for SO vehicles. He's repeating. The sheriff was fussing last week. He only had $1 million in SPLOST 7. That is incorrect. Not sure where he's getting his numbers from. Again, that's another incorrect statement for the board to consider. It was $1.5 million. As you know, this year we've exceeded, in 2025, we've exceeded our budget by nearly $90,000 for vehicle repairs and maintenance. You know, the fleet is bad. We knew the fleet would be getting bad. Again, I'm just going to say that I appreciate the board building the radio system. That's going to come to fruition, but we knew that we would suffer in cars. You know, there's been a lot of discussion about the price of these vehicles, and I think Ms. Natalie quoted right around $63 for an upfitted vehicle, but that does not include the camera system. That does not include the radar. So we can speculate that $70,000 is low, but I'll reference you to an email from Joy Leverett to Shannon Harbin on October the 10th, where I'll just read it to you. Troy has $150,000 for replacement of 2 fire prevention unit vehicles, which are passenger vehicles on his list. So the number we're giving you, board, is not exaggerated. The number of cars we're giving you is not exaggerating. So all I would ask of you this evening, again, I don't want to get in an argument with you. I don't want to fuss about it, but I'm just asking you to move that money over from facility repairs and let us get that solidified in our vehicles and equipment.
So I feel like we're a little bit past the arguing situation. But we already voted on SPLOST, so we can't change it. Like, it's been voted on. And I do want to say, you know, whatever discussion was had in email between Joey and Billy, I didn't decide based on any of that. I wasn't privy to those emails, just like you weren't privy to them. So my decision wasn't based on that. After talking to you and understanding that you've been getting, I think it was 5 vehicles per year, and now you went up to 12, that was a big jump. I wanted to understand why, because there was no explanation there either until we spoke.
Yes.
So once I better understood, it made sense why you need 12. You haven't been getting you didn't feel like you've been getting sufficient amount of vehicles for a while.
Right.
And so I wasn't aware of that, which is why it went up from the reduced number, which, again, I don't know that we were fully aware it was reduced, because, again, this is kind of something like budget. Billy and Joey work on this stuff together, and they look at past numbers, and they build it out, and then we come back and look at it. So sometimes we don't see until the final product, and Chris and I met with you, we spoke, we understood. We went back to the board and said, hey, we've ran some numbers. You gave some numbers to Chris. Chris ran numbers. He's our number guy. He ran them over and over and over, trying to get to what made sense financially based on the information you gave us. And he was able to get to the $5 million. And so he called each of us. We discussed it. We talked to Randy with facilities, and that's the reason that $1 million, I think it was 800 and something thousand, went up to the 1.73. And again, I'm sorry that you, just like I told you, I'm sorry that you weren't a part of that discussion. And you know what? Joey Holmes is right. You probably should have had a phone call. Hey, this is what we're doing, and I apologize for that. But that 1.7 is our facilities director. It's his job to assess what needs to be done and get pricing on stuff. And that's the number that he gave us.
Randy reported to you what we had already talked about in-house. We had already budgeted that 830 included these repairs that Randy iterated to you. So if you asked Randy what the problems were, what needed to be done in the jail, that's the same thing that we had already budgeted for.
Well, and like I told you that day after we voted on SPLOST, and I'm just being completely transparent here, is we created a pathway to be able to give you all of the money that you asked for plus some. So it's giving you full renovation to that jail. If we don't use that money, which you're saying that we won't, if we don't, you get that money in year 7.
Well, it's a gamble. I mean, we know that. We know it's not for certain.
Well, it's not 100%, but if you're correct in saying that everything is only going to be $850,000 and we don't use all that money for the jail, you will get it. Then, not only that, if that doesn't work, whatever's left over, if we collect more in Splosh, you get that. It's one or the other.
Well, and again, that's all I'm saying, boards, this is a gamble. All we're asking you to do is just to move it over. Joy seems to think that that's within your authority to do so. That would solve a lot of issues for us, and we could get to our vehicles and equipment where we need to be.
I mean, I'm not going to speak for the board, but I'll speak just for me, is that I think that we have adequately given to all the departments that are listed on here, and a lot of departments were left off of it. And I feel good with where we're at, because I feel confident that you're going to be able to get everything that you've asked for. And I think if the math is done correctly, if you get it all, it's actually $200,000 more than what was requested by you in SPLOST back in October.
Well, I'm presenting you a confirmed need with vehicles.
Sure.
And this is something that we don't know whether or not we'll need it. So that's all I'm presenting to the board, is that I know that we have vehicle needs, and we will continue to have vehicle needs. But the other is the great unknown. So that's what I'm asking of the board, is just to simply move it over.
I know you're saying simply, and it's not a simple thing.
I'm not saying it is. That's for the legal minds to decide. But again, I'm basing that statement on what I'm hearing from Mr. Holmes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, we're done.
Questions is,
No, we're done.
can't answer a question?
No, we're done.
Don't want to answer the question, Sheriff.
All right. We'll move on. Consideration of resolution to call for an election to determine the issuance of Dawson County general obligation bonds and the continuation of the 1% sales and use tax, and to adopt the intergovernmental agreement covering the use of the sales and use tax proceeds. What's the pleasure of the board on this resolution?
I make a motion that we proceed with the resolution to call for an election to determine the issuance of Dawson County general obligation bonds and the continuance of a 1-cent sales tax and use tax, and adopt the intergovernmental agreement governing the use of sales and use tax proceeds.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines, seconded by Commissioner Stowers. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 3-0. Then we'll move on to new business. First up, we have consideration of request to replace computer-aided dispatch record management system. The initial cost is $494,497. That would initially have to be funded through the general fund, and then it is in Splosh. If Splosh 8 passes, it also has a $77,949 annual maintenance fee that would go along with that. So what is the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion that we proceed with the purchase of the CAD system in the amount of $412,000 that has been recommended by the Sheriff's Department and Mr. Major Ray Goody, and that we use general funds, and we all hope and anticipate that Splosh 8 will pass to reimburse that.
The initial cost is more than that. It's $494.
Okay, yeah, I'll correct that motion, $494,497, and then ongoing maintenance cost to be $77,949.
Before we second that, can I ask a question
Sure.
to Ray? So Joey just made a comment when he was talking about something in 2017 with the CAD system, and apologize for my ignorance. I wasn't involved on this side. From my understanding, we bought a CAD system in 2018 or 2019, and now we're repurchasing one.
Yes.
Okay, because the servers, the company doesn't want to catch the servers up. We don't want to move all the stuff behind it, right?
Correct.
So do we feel, and I should have asked you this a second ago, sorry. Do we feel, I just don't want to be back in 7 years purchasing a whole nother CAD program. Is that likely? Is that a commonplace of purchasing every 7 years?
I can tell you we've switched systems several times in the past. I don't know that we would have to replace anything in 7 years because this is a cloud-based system.
Okay.
I'll defer to Will for the technological side of things. It should be a system that lasts. I will call your attention to a cloud hosting fee that I didn't hear you talk about. I thought it's a little over $20-something thousand. I just want to make sure you got that part. So I don't know that we would need to replace this system. We did buy our legacy system around that time frame for about $400-something thousand.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
And that was 2019.
Yeah.
And
So it was
that's
mentioned earlier that there was conversation in September 7th, 2017. So I think that conversation that took place in 17, it was addressed in 19. So
That's what I was confused on. That's what I wanted to make sure. So
yeah, we addressed it in 17.
it's a
in
legacy-
19, okay.
It's a legacy server-based system. So there's two servers at the sheriff's office that holds the system.
Right.
This would be moving away from that server-based setup to the cloud.
Okay.
Were we in a server-based setting prior to that 19? Do you know?
The
I'm not cloud, but we're not cloud
Will's
now,
saying
technically.
yes.
Right.
I want to say we had server setups.
Yeah.
We went from server word-based records management stuff to an RMS system. I believe it was Caliber we had at that time too, but then the company's changed and then we implemented this system.
So now being on a cloud-based system, as long as SmartCop continues to have customer service that is reliable, then hopefully we will not have this upfront initial cost moving forward, correct?
Correct. I've talked to several agencies who have SmartCop and they've had it for a number of years and they like it. They have no intent of transferring to other systems, if that helps.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the trend. I think Will can validate that. It's going away from the hardware, fixture, server stuff to the cloud base now that the cloud has become more secure and more ubiquitous. So
Okay. I just wanted to verify. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
All right, hold on just a second though. Before we go any further, I have on this document the two costs. Now, we just mentioned a third cost.
well, there's 494, 497, and then there's an annual maintenance cost of 77,949, and then there's a annual hosting cost of I want to say it was 23,000, but that would be
What
we
is
would
that?
have to anticipate that in future budgets. I would assume it wouldn't be something that we agree to today because we keep buying future boards for future budgets.
No, but the 23,000 is sorry. The 23,000 is not including included in the 77.
So the 77 is an annual maintenance for the
Right.
setup. The
And then the hosting fee is separate.
The 23,000 is a separate annual fee for the hosting.
But is that something we'd have to pay now?
It's what we would have to pay annually included with our maintenance. So the 400 and the numbers you have there is what we would pay now. And then each year we would
We
have
would
to
pay
pay
those two
Yes.
additional fees.
494 should include the hosting fee for
For this
current
year.
Yes.
term.
Yeah.
And then moving forward, when our future budgets take place, we would have to anticipate that be budgeted into our general operating fund somewhere.
That's 77 plus the 23.
Correct.
Yes. The numbers you have for you, just as Commissioner Gaines said, we would have to pay the total you see there. I just wanted to make you aware that annually it's not
This year
just the
alone, we would
70,000.
just pay the 494.
Yes, sir.
And then next year's when the 77 would come up
And
I- I believe in
and
the
the
break.
23.
If the form you have, I believe, has the breakdown for you. I can forward the contract later that has the specifics if that helps.
the first maintenance cost should not take place until our next budget cycle. That's why I originally did not include it in my original motion. It would be the 494, 497 as our initial capital outlay. That eventually we can pay for that out of Splosh, but the maintenance cost I don't think we can pay for out of Splosh because it's not a capital purchase.
No,
So
it would just be
it would have to be a future
yearly,
budget
yeah.
discussion. It would just essentially although we can't agree to it today, we're essentially agreeing to the commitment for future
By having this
fund
system,
budgeting
yeah.
because we have to fund that. But our capital outlay today out of general fund should be 494, 497, with the idea that we're committing future budgets essentially at $100,000, the 77
We
plus
are committing
23.
future
Well,
commissions.
If I may as well, I'll remind
It could be
you,
cut
we also have an annual maintenance fee for our current system, and we have an annual maintenance fee for our jail tracker system. Those $2 amounts are more than what the annual maintenance fee is for
For
that.
this.
So you could essentially say it's a budgeted item.
Gotcha.
We see it all on the agenda, but we just wanted to make sure of what was actually being charged this year.
Yes.
So that he makes this motion correctly.
Okay.
94. Okay.
Second.
You going with just the 494 then?
Yeah, I mean, the capital outlay would be the 494, 497, and then, yeah, I mean, with the knowledge that we have a future commitment of, should we stay with this program, there's obviously an opt-out. We're not fully committing for the next 6 years to this thing because we can cancel it at any time. So today, the agreement is 494, 497 in the motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines, seconded by Commissioner Bruce. And we're going to fund this with general fund, or fund balance.
Yeah, I mean, that's our only option at this point. And again, in anticipation, Splosh 8 passes along with many other items that we were funding out of Splosh 8.
Okay. All right. Any further discussion?
And this should wrap up all our expenses for the new radio system, I assume. If you say yes, I'm holding you to that because it's on the record.
Better be. And that's approved 3-0. Move on up to number 2, consideration of IFB 481-25, full depth reclamation for Elliott Road and resurfacing of Sunset Drive, Ruby Lane.
Ray, before you leave, thanks for your work on that, by the way.
54, hold on. All right, so this would be coming out of T-Splosh. And let's see. Yeah, Splosh 7. T-Splosh and Splosh 7. So the Elliott Road piece of that, which is $999,537.90. And then the Sunset Drive, Ruby Lane, which is Splosh 7, $128,011.90. Okay? Any other information needed? Motions.
I make a motion that we approve the
Number 2.
IFB number 481-25 full depth reclamation for Elliott Road and Sunset Drive, Ruby Lane resurfacing with $999,537.90 coming out of T-Splosh and $128,011.90 to be allocated from Splosh 7.
With a 5% contingency.
With a 5% contingency of 50.
With a 5% contingency. Thank you, sir, for your.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner
Second.
Gaines, second by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion.
It's been just a comment. This thing has been, and Alexa can speak to this. This is a long time in the works. So I mean, this is monumental to get to this stage. So thank you for everybody that's put the energy and effort to get this accomplished.
Yes. Celebratory dinner.
Like we need to crack a bottle of champagne on the road.
And that is approved 3-0. Next up, we have consideration of County Commissioners of Georgia Civics Affairs Foundation internship grant for senior services. This is a $3,259.50 award. Pay intern $15 an hour, and it's up to 200 hours of work. We would pay them first and then be reimbursed. Pleasure of the board.
Make a motion that we approve the ACCG intern grant for senior services.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stowers, seconded by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 3-0. Next up, we have the second consideration of Association of County Commissioners of Georgia Civic Affairs Foundation grant, and this one is for public relations. The dollar amounts are exactly the same. What's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion to consider the internship grant for public relations.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bruce, seconded by Commissioner Stowers. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved. 3-0. Let's hire some interns. Next up, we have consideration of property transfer between Dawson County and Etowah Water and Sewer Authority involving land lots 921 and 922. One is 2.005 acres on Martin Road, and the other was 1.54 acres on Bannister Road. Any other information needed? Motions.
Make a motion that Dawson County, or make a motion to approve for Dawson County to transfer 2.005 acres on Martin Road to Etowah Water and Sewer Authority, and for Etowah Water and Sewer Authority to transfer 1.540 acres on Bannister to Dawson County.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stowers, seconded by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 3-0. Next up, we have ratification of 2026 transportation project list and funding. You'll find that on page 94 of your handout. Something we discussed back January the 8th. So we agreed to ratify that at this meeting. The list of roads you have, if you want to look at those. So is there any other information needed? Motions.
Make a motion that we accept the ratification of the 2026 transport project list and funding.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stowers, seconded by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 3-0. Next, I have the FY 2026 Violence Against Women Act grant application. That is a $94,768 grant, anticipated to be the same as it was this year. 71,076 federal, 23,692 county match, which is budgeted. Any other information needed? Motions.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines, seconded by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. You're having a hard time.
Rookie over here.
And it's approved 3-0. Lastly, but not least, we have a request to accept FY 2026 K-9 grant, $123,218.40. No match.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Bruce, seconded by Commissioner Stowers. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 3-0. No one signed up for public comment in this section. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you for your attendance.